Episode
Loaded
9
Sport.
Does he sit second, then?
No, I don't think he does. I think Kevin Keegan probably sits second.
Oh my God, what a scandal.
Austin Eckler versus the Cards. Go and fuck the lot of you.
God, Eckler.
He's making me like I'm some sort of cameo, like I've come in and go, hand out the bag, England to win.
Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Loaded Sport, where today we are going to be reviewing the final week of the NFL regular season and all the FA Cup action that took place, including the FA Cup fourth round draw, where all four sides that the four of us support have made it at least into the draw. Starting with the Derby County supporter, Sam, you all right?
Oi, oi. Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm a little bit tired this evening as we record. Stayed up a bit late last night watching the NFL, which obviously I'm going to discuss a bit later on. And
Save it.
I'm a little bit battered, a little bit bruised from that. But yeah, Derby won, so that's definitely something. Although I wouldn't have minded a loss in a cup run, but there we go. So yeah, all good from my side. Just a little bit tired.
Extra funds in the kitty, always good to see. Moving on to a Sheffield United supporter. Hello, Kemp.
Mr. Dawson, Mr. White, man with the mic, how are we doing?
Oh, I thought it was coming back. I'm going to do that every single week, aren't I? Just for nothing. I'm all right, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, and it's not for nothing, because one day it may or may not come back. It might just surprise you.
It may be for something one day.
It may be for something. Nothing is never something. Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you, mate. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. And finally, Skin, the Manchester United supporter. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Some might say a bigger time supporter than you because you're never there, and I've been to more games than you this season. But
I feel like we're all getting introduced for the first time with the Man United supporter.
The Man United, the Derby supporter.
I'm just referencing the fact that if people are listening for the first time, they know you support and that you're in the fourth round of the FA Cup. There we go.
Love that. We're picking up new listeners every week, so
you're not going to be in fourth round at FA Cup when West Brom fucking smash you at Hawthorns.
God, well, it moves us on nicely to the first question that I've got, which I'm going to start with Skin for, simply because he was at the Chesterfield against West Brom game. There was a controversial situation in that game towards the very end where Thomas Asante was judged to have used his elbow on the nose of Jeff King. Jeff King ended up leaving the field for treatment. People are saying VAR would have seen that as a red card. I'm going to agree, but I potentially have a bit of a biased view on that as well. Had VAR been used, had the facilities been available at the Technique Stadium, potentially that could have happened and the red card could have been there. He went on to score the equaliser a little bit later. There were other games that took place the same day, the day before as well, in the case of Manchester United against Everton, that because they had the facilities, VAR was used in the same competition. It opens up that question again. I'd like your opinion of it. VAR being used inconsistently throughout one competition.
I absolutely don't agree with it, mate. Personally, I don't think that even as a Man United supporter, they benefited from the potential equaliser from Dominic Calvert-Lewin being overturned due to offside, and then Chesterfield end up conceding in the 94th minute because a foul wasn't given and wasn't able to be picked up by reviewing VAR. So, yes, certain stadiums have got the ability to use VAR. But I don't think that it should be used in a competition where the other teams don't have that facility, because some teams are benefiting from it, like Liverpool against Wolves. Wolves had a goal disallowed after a VAR check. And a team like Chesterfield, who were absolutely phenomenal on that day, like you said, I was there. They were brilliant. You honestly would not have thought that was a cup game and a National League team playing a championship team and one of the informed championship teams as well. So, yeah, I personally think it's very unfair. Is it a discussion that would potentially come up in the future? We never know, but you would have thought that decision would have been made by now if it was going to change it. Lads, I don't know what you think.
Yeah.
With your Sporting Championship and League One teams, if you get sort of deeper into the competition and get knocked out by a decision that another team could have benefited from.
Well, we were in Premier League a couple of years ago, mate, so we've got VAR ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think probably the fairest way they could do it is just a blanket ban on VAR until the semi-finals, I think. And then once it's in the semi-finals and it's at neutral ground, I think from that point on, use VAR. I think that would probably make the most sense. And just even if it is at Old Trafford, and I know the argument against it is both teams have got to benefit from that game. But if you're comparing a third round game to another third round game as you just did,
I completely agree with that.
It is unfair. So
I'm fine with that. The same part of the same competition. Yeah, if the semi-finals or even the quarterfinals, if they go, look, it's 4 Premier League teams are playing or 4 stadiums that have got that facility, you can use it, then absolutely fine. But even with VAR is only essentially a TV replay. Yes, they might have certain technology for say offsides, but
it's just all about angles.
We've all seen offsides on TV replays years before VAR because they show it back. Like you can clearly see within 30 seconds that he's thrown an elbow at Jeff King and took him out. Like Adam said, Jeff King's gone off the pitch. 30 seconds later, he's headed it into the goal and scored. So surely on a TV replay, you can see that within 60 to 90 seconds, which isn't exactly loads longer than what it would take to check VAR. Then they have to review VAR and then potentially change the goal. So I don't really know what the logistics are when it is being recorded for TV and is being streamed and people have the ability to check those things. I don't know, but yeah,
the TV replay thing. It's something that it's an understandable point you make, but it's kind of a moot point because they could have had the opportunity to make that the VAR could have worked like that. Instead of doing VAR like that, they fucked about with it, sending it to Stockley Park for all these fucking 16 officials to get the payday and get measuring tape out. But ultimately, that's not what's going to happen. And I do agree with you in the main that if it's not going to be a factor in one tie, it shouldn't be a factor in the other ties. Yeah, I do agree. But at the same time, and this is just me playing devil's advocate and what the FA and whoever else will probably sort of come back to this argument in the sense of, is that would you rather all of the games have lesser officiating or some of the games have
all of them? I think
like it or not, VAR, for what it's worth, and the amount that it delays the game and whatever, and the positives and negatives of it, you get the right decision. Whereas in the Chesterfield game, you didn't get the right decision. So what do you, and this is me playing devil's advocate, I agree with you, but what do you say to somebody that says, well, hang on a minute, that could have happened in every game across the country, and if there were no VAR in any games, all of those games could have, all of those teams could have been adjusted, unlike Chesterfield.
I just think there has to be some kind of standardization and uniformity to it. There has to be either do it across the board or don't do it across the board. You can't have, they've got VAR in their game but they ain't got it in their game, but it's still in the same round. It's just that, for me, it's just messy, I think. So it's either all or nothing for me. I don't think there's anything wrong. We got by 100 years without VAR. I know I sound like a bit of a boomer saying that, but everybody knows that without VAR, the games tend to be more interesting. So for me, it'd be no VAR in any cup game, so EFL Cup or FA Cup, no VAR until the semis. Once it's on neutral ground, it's VAR from there on in. And you're right, I'm probably for VAR to be honest. I think the implementation of it's been poor, but I think
they improved it after. Was it the Euros where they had it?
Yeah, I think after the Euros, 2018.
Was it the World Cup? Because
and it was really good at the time.
Because when it first came in, it were a fucking nightmare.
Shocking.
I remember it being an absolute nightmare. But since then,
I think when it first came in Prem, it was shocking. When they first used it in Champions League and World Cup, like it was decent.
Yeah, no. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So when it first came into the Premier League or into the English game, it was appalling, and we weren't running it correctly. So all in all, VAR I think is a net positive now.
Yeah.
I said that when it first came in, but I do agree with you in the main that if you're going to have it in one tie, have it in all ties, because then it's fair across the board.
Definitely.
And you're not going to get that disparagement of, okay, well, this is a Premier League team or a team that has the facilities of VAR. They're going to either benefit or lose out because of VAR, as opposed to a tie, if they didn't have VAR in.
Yeah, agreed.
I agree. Well, I agree, but I feel that there shouldn't be VAR. Like Sam said, we managed for 100 plus years without it. I'm not a fan of it.
Wait, so you don't think it should be VAR at all?
No, not just in the FA Cup. I don't think there should be VAR full stop.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
God, right. Okay, that's a new
Go on, elaborate.
I just
carry on.
I think that it makes the game too stop-start. And I know I'm an NFL fan, so I'm kind of used to that. But I think for football, it's just a flowing sport, isn't it? You just get the game on with, and yes, sometimes decisions go for you, sometimes they go against you. For me, it's just stay consistent without VAR. It ruins the game. Just let the game happen naturally, like it has done previously.
But the argument to that is that the amount of times we were complaining about, definitely goal line technology 100%, and I know that's not the point you're making, but the amount of times we've complained in the past, or fans have complained about the lack of use of technology in the game, and before VAR, we were miles behind, like you mentioned, the NFL there for like replays and stuff like that. So
tennis as well.
What do you? Yeah. So what do you say to that, in the sense that England? I think did England get a penalty in the Euros because of VAR?
Yeah.
Yeah, against France, weren't it? Ref did get.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So where do you stand with that then?
Decisions go for you and decisions go against you in football, and it's easy for me to now sit there and say, "Oh, actually, I'm going to retract that statement because it worked in our favour." There's also been times where VAR's worked against us, and that's not just as an England fan, obviously.
But would you rather not have the accuracy?
I think there's always going to be replays.
There's human error.
Looked at. But there's always going to be human error in there. And I think sometimes there's been.
There's going to be human error, but then if you've got VAR, then that minimises human error.
It minimises it, but there's still incidents where that happens. There was one not too long ago where the referee actually went to the screen and opted to go against the advice that he'd been given. So there's always going to be that human error, regardless of whether there's a screen. It's just whether you want to delay the game to get to those sort of errors occasionally, or whether you want to iron out any of that sort of stuff. I mean, there's times where we'll sit there and we'll talk about, I've been seeing on Match of the Day or on when we're watching live games, that VAR has been silly and it's causing disruptions, it's errors, it's not.
Yeah, but the amount of times that we were watching Match of the Day before VAR and we were saying, God, that goal were offside, God, that were a foul, God, that were that. But now we've got VAR. Yeah, there might be a 30-second minute, at very worst case scenario, maybe 2 minutes of delay of the game, but you're getting those right decisions, and we're not coming to the end of the game and saying that decision was wrong, that decision was wrong, and that decision was wrong, because we've got the help of technology. Would you not?
I mean, we definitely do get that, and like I said,
but it's VAR decisions. A lot it's less. Not referee decisions. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not the human error decision.
Yeah, it's definitely decreased, but there'll always be that. Like Ag says, there is still that human element in it where the referee still has to make the on-field call. So that's always going to be there, which I like personally, because it's not robotic.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I want a referee, a robot referee in the game. But what I'm saying is that if the referee makes a mistake, the VAR will say, "Go and have a look at that one." Or hang on,
I don't think that hurts, does it? To just go in a second opinion and see what you think.
No, that doesn't hurt. That's what I think the best system is. I would never want to see a robot making all the decisions and the referee's just there to blow his whistle and tell us what they are, like the middleman. He's got to make those decisions. But if it is a clear and obvious error, I can't see why you wouldn't want that technology in the game, especially when it's fair. It's fair at the end of the day.
I think it takes a lot away from what the game used to be like, and I know you're going to say it's better, but there's still times that we'll sit here and
you're just a fucking dinosaur, pal.
I'm very Arsene Wenger.
I honestly think that if you and again, and we've talked about your love of Chesterfield, but I think if you supported a club that had use of VAR and had utilised VAR, I think your opinion would have been different.
Maybe
I'm a Sheffield United fan. We lost against Villa, if you remember, or we drew. I can't remember, but that goal
line technology
when it crossed the line. It crossed the line. Goal line technology wasn't working. They went to VAR, and they didn't go to VAR. That pissed me off more than anything else, because you've got it there, use it. And I'm a Sheffield United fan. I should be against VAR for that reason, but I'm not, because overall it helps the game.
Yeah, and like you say, if I'm a Premier League supporter or Championship, or my team's got VAR to their disposal, then maybe I'll have a different opinion on it. But as it stands, I'm very much against it. Right, moving on to other news that was released earlier on this week. It was that of former Everton and Wigan manager Roberto Martinez taking over at Portugal
from Belgium.
Belgium, yeah, of course.
I was moving on to say stepping down from Belgium to move on to Portugal. So we're going to start.
I don't think he stepped down, mate. I think he got sacked. I think they booted him out.
Mutual agreement, weren't it?
Yeah. I think after he ruined their golden generation, I think they fucking kicked him to the curb.
Sam, take it away,
There you
Budster.
go, to you, Sam.
Well, Kemp's just literally hit nail on head, hasn't he? It's how has he landed that gig? First of all, what accolades?
Who's his agent?
He's his agent. It's like that. Julian Faubert must be him who got him up to Real Madrid that time. Must be sharing the same agent.
It must be.
It's an head scratcher, I must admit. I mean, he held on to that Belgium job for about 5 years too long, ruined an absolute generation of world class footballers.
Who said? Was that you, Kevin? Who said Southgate-esque? Who said that then?
Infuriated with the best mates.
I'll tell you what, even Southgate's better than him.
Oh, fucking hell! There's the scoop.
Stephen.
Carry on, Sam.
Clip that. No, that's pretty much it, innit? I can't see how he's managed to get that job, and I'm not holding much hope out for Portugal going forward. But how he deals with how do you reckon he'll deal with the Ronaldo situation? Because obviously, last time we knew for Portugal, Ronaldo were kind of being shown the door. Do you reckon he's gonna?
Well,
do you reckon he's going to bring him back into the fold, or?
I'll answer that question for you, mate. It was announced earlier today that by default, Ronaldo is the new assistant manager of Portugal. So it was him that announced it, and he's the only one that's claimed that title. But, I think he sees I think he sees Martinez as a potential soft spot.
In serious news, I did hear today that Roberto Martinez has actually picked up the phone to every single player in the Portugal squad and had a conversation with them about what I'm not quite sure. Maybe he's just
probably reassured him.
Got the job.
Yeah,
maybe he's justifying his credentials and why he got the job. But
ask him what they offer tea.
It's just like you say, Sam. You've hit the nail on the head. It's a head scratcher. It's not. It's funny for us because we're.
If I were Portuguese, I'd be fucking fuming.
But yeah, you look at that. You look at the fact that they have got a decent young crop coming
it's a
through.
lovely squad.
We saw a few of those players sort of bursting through at the World Cup, but it just wasn't quite enough at the time, and I don't know. It's a very strange appointment, and I don't understand how the Portuguese Football Association or whoever made the decision on this looks his reign as Belgium manager and thinks, yeah, we'll have some of that. I don't quite understand that. I don't quite understand how they've come to that decision.
I'm completely behind you on this one. I'm not going to argue it. I think that it's a poor decision from Portugal to hire him after his past. Not been very good with Belgium. To be fair, I don't think he did that good with Everton or Wigan.
He got up first time. He's been with them twice, hasn't he, Everton?
I'm not sure. I thought it was just the once.
No, I don't think so. He's just been there once. He won you'd also mentioned in the previous show, Wigan winning the FA Cup and then getting relegated. I believe he oversaw that.
Yeah, he did.
And then he went to Everton, had a bit of a lacklustre time there, went to Belgium, had a piss poor time there, and now he's got the Portugal job.
Just another one of the managers where you'll sit there and think, how do they keep on getting jobs in football? There we go.
Mark Hughes-esque.
Yeah, very much the same. Other news announced earlier on today, at the day of recording, earlier on today, is the retirement of Gareth Bale. And I think this is going to be an interesting one to move on to because of comments that we've made in chats earlier that will become more apparent as this conversation goes on. So he started his career at Southampton in 2006. He had the youth set up, to be fair. He was part of the youth setup. If you remember, Southampton got relegated to League One. He was part of that side along with the likes of Theo Walcott that helped.
He was banging in belting free kicks.
Absolutely, to get themselves back into the Premier League. Then went on to Tottenham, where he scored 42 goals in 146 games before making the trip across to Real Madrid, where he scored 81 goals in 176 appearances. A brief loan spell back at Tottenham, saw 11 goals in 20 games before ending his career in LA. For Wales, he has scored 41 times in 111 games. Now, the question was raised earlier, and Skin, I'm going to come across to you first for this one. Is he the greatest British player to play overseas?
In terms of what they've achieved overseas for the time they played there, or just the best player that happened to play overseas? Because I think they're different things.
Thank you. That it's open to interpretation. For me, it's the best player.
The best player. I think it'd be hard to argue. I'm a massive fan of Gareth Bale, and I think for his faults, he was underrated. And I know he achieved a lot. I know he had some phenomenal moments, and I know, especially when he was at Tottenham, that first run to that last season before he went to Real Madrid, he got his plaudits, he got his flowers, and all that kind of stuff. But he was an unbelievable player. He had a hand in 2 of those Champions League wins that he had. A direct hand in that. He scored that famous goal against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey final where he knocked the ball about 30, 40 yards in front, run off the pitch to get round the marker, and obviously then scored in the near post.
Career, retired.
Yeah, he did, retired him, did he?
Yeah, he did. But I think he was a phenomenal player personally. He's done it all. He's won it all, other than sort of the Premier League. But he played for Spurs while he was there, so that's never going to happen. I don't think anyone can fault him. I know, Kemp, you give him a lot of stick for taking a wage and being average and all that kind of stuff. But I think you'd be hard pressed to convince me of him being a phenomenal player. He achieved everything that he needed to achieve. He did what he needed to do when he was healthy. He was an absolute superstar in that Welsh setup. He carried them and led them through the toughest time that country has ever been through. From a sporting aspect, tougher than what most countries will ever go through with the passing of Gary Speed, and he never came across as someone that felt he was too good to be a part of that team or a part of that setup. Which
loved it, didn't he? Loved it.
He quite easily could have done that, but he led them. He brought those players up to his level. He inspired them. He motivated them, and for that, honestly, you'll never catch me faulting him for what he did, how he presented himself, and what he achieved in his career. But in terms of answering your question, you can't argue about him being the most successful British player to ever play abroad. And in terms of pure ability, I would have to agree. Beckham is probably in the conversation, but I would take Prime Bale over Prime Beckham personally.
I think there's a comparison there, to be fair. And you mentioned he was a superstar in that Welsh team. I mean, to be quite honest, I think Tom Jones would have been a superstar in that Welsh team at the last World Cup.
It's a fair shout. Shame his football ability is not as good as his singing ability.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think he'd have probably played better than a lot of those players at the World Cup because they were absolutely diabolical. And Bale was part of that. Let's not forget. Let's not just remember the good times.
Oh, it was terrible.
And that's my sort of thing with Gareth Bale, in the sense that very, very talented player. At his peak, I would say he was probably the best British player ever. At his peak,
fucking hell, bold.
At his very, very peak. Now, he was definitely the best British export. There's no question about that.
I think, I agree with that.
I've sort of I've had an ongoing joke with a few of my friends about Gareth Bale, and we've had arguments about it because they call him the British GOAT, the greatest British player of all time. And the reason that I just cannot get on board with that, and I think that's absolutely bollocks, is the fact that he was so inconsistent and he got off to such a slow start in his career, and then he got off to such a pitiful end of his career. The middle bit was great, but
but that was a large middle bit, though.
Slow. Yeah. Well, it wasn't really, was it? Because he had, what did he have? 2 years at Spurs, where he was brilliant, absolutely groundbreaking and game changing in the last 2 years he was at Spurs. Got his big move to Real Madrid, and then probably for 5 years at Real Madrid tops, he was in the first team all the time, scoring in Champions League finals in those big moments. He, let's be honest, only contributed really to 2 of the Champions League medals that he's got.
But, fucking hell, yeah, proper average player then.
Well, I didn't say he was average, did I? When did I say I was average? He was average.
But you're downplaying his ability or his success because he only contributed to 2 Champions League finals. No.
If you put Adam in that Real Madrid team, they still win 5 Champions Leagues. Let's not get that twisted.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You could put again.
I'd love to see Aggie pull off that overhead kick.
I'll go back to Tom Jones and say that they'd win at least 4 Champions Leagues if Tom Jones were in it, instead of Gareth Bale. But ultimately, like I said, he was a fantastic world-class player at his peak, his peak powers. But it's 2023. He's 33 years of age, right? In 1992 or 1993, for example, retiring at 33, that's pretty fair game. Fair enough. Well done. Good career. In 2023, that's unforgivable. And for me, in the last 5 years of his Real Madrid career, he's took a wage. He's not giving a shit about his legacy. He's not giving a shit about playing at top level.
But he doesn't owe that to anyone.
All that bollocks.
I think unforgivable is a bit strong.
All that bollocks, mate. All that bollocks about what golf, Wales, Madrid, mate. You're picking up a fucking 6-figure. You're picking up a 6-figure wage. What's wrong with you? So,
mate, if you were picking up a 6-figure wage to live his life, you'd fucking snatch your hand off like the rest of us, or like anyone.
Yeah, that's not. To be fair to Kev, that's not the point he's making.
I know, but it's like you can't slag him off for that.
But I am slagging him off for that because he did nothing to cement his legacy as the best British player ever.
But not everyone's interested in that.
Well, that's fine.
And he won trophies. Maybe it's
I'm not saying he was interested in that, mate. I'm not saying he was interested in that. What I'm saying is, if you want to be regarded, if people are going to talk about him like that as the best British player of all time, then you need to fucking work for it. And if you're not going to work for it, if you're going to sit on a golf course, then you're not going to get it.
It's not like he's retired today.
But I'm arguing against people saying he's the best British player of all time or the best, best career of all time or whatever. He hasn't. It was good for 2 years at Spurs, maybe 5 years at Madrid. And that's it. And he was at his peak. But apart from those 2 years at Spurs, and apart from those 5 years at Madrid, he was pitiful. That return to Spurs in the Premier League, when he was, 31 when he returned to Spurs, he was absolutely crap.
He scored 11 goals in 20 games.
What was that, Adam, mate?
He scored 11 goals in 20 games on that return to Spurs.
How many did he score in the Premier League? How many did he score in the Premier League?
I'm not sure of the breakdown.
Oh, right. Are you not? Oh, interesting.
No, but he scored in over half the appearances that he made.
How many did he score? How many did he score this last season at LAFC?
2 goals in 12 games.
How many?
2 goals in 12 games.
In the MLS?
Yes.
Think about that. Let that sink in. 33 years of age. So, again, peak of his power, absolutely brilliant. Best British player of all time at his peak. But you can't say he had a fantastic, unbelievable career start to finish because he didn't. And you can't say that, people saying he's the best British player of all time, goes down in history. What a load of bollocks.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my 50 pence worth in here. So
and then I'll put mine in.
So I agree to certain extents what Kemp's put in and disagree with some of the things he's said as well. I don't think at any point in the peak of his power he's been the greatest British player of all time. So I'm just going to put that out there. That will be Wayne Rooney for me. I think the consistency.
Don't say that. You'll trigger Kemp even more.
The consistency Wayne Rooney had over that amount of time.
Do you know what? Do you know what's interesting? Right, is I'll go on about how I think Rooney was overrated. Right, Wayne Rooney had a much better career than Gareth Bale.
100%.
Far better.
I'm not. The fact that you say Wayne Rooney's overrated, your opinion is irrelevant.
In terms of best British, mate, shut up. In terms of best British players of all time, right? Rooney is way higher than Gareth Bale in that record.
100%.
Way higher.
100%. But then when I hear things like, I think Gareth Bale's been underrated, I kind of take a bit of umbrage with that to an extent. So, as you say, 5 times Champions League winner, 4-time FIFA Club World Cup winner, 3-time Spanish champion, 3 Super Cups, 1 Spanish Cup, Spanish Super Cup, and then, if I'm being honest, I think what the most impressive cup of his entire collection was the League Cup for Tottenham Hotspurs because they haven't won a fucking bean since.
I agree. That's one he probably grafted hardest for.
So I think that was probably his most impressive cup. So yeah, I don't think you can say he's been underrated. It's just difficult to say because in that Madrid side, they had that many good players. It was disrespected, I think is the word I'd go by the Madrid fans more than anything, and the Spanish media. I'd say more disrespected than anything else. But definitely agree with the best British foreign export playing abroad in terms of quality and success. But in terms of the greatest Britain of all time, I have to put that down to Rooney, and I'd probably put George Best second. Now, people are going to come at me for saying, "Oh, you've never even seen him play." It's not the point, is it? Everyone's seen clips of him. Everyone's seen how successful he was. He was an absolute magician. So yeah, that'd be my order. I'd put him third, but he's not number 1 for me by any stretch.
Can I just quickly jump in because I have got a question to Kemp, and Kemp, I promise you 100% this is a genuine question for a genuine discussing. This is not in any way, shape or form to try and cause an argument or just to get a reaction or anything at all, okay? Mm-hmm. So please take the question seriously and answer it as best you can. So what you've always said about Bale and one of the things that you led with in your argument back at me then was about how he's retired at 33, the peak of his powers, played in the MLS, played for Tottenham again at 31, and it was a lot about how he didn't push himself. You, as you mentioned there yourself, say Wayne Rooney is overrated, and I'm sure you will admit you are in the vast minority of having that opinion. And in discussions in our group chats where we've always gone back and forth about whether it's me and you and Tina, us as a group, you've always gone towards how he didn't look after himself, how he could have been better, he could have done more, and you bring Ronaldo about how he looked after himself and things like that. So taking a step back and looking at outside in, do you think that your opinion on players and their legacy, quite a bit of that is based on how they look after themselves throughout their career and how they push themselves and how they, strive for, look like they're striving for greatness, like a Ronaldo, like a Messi, because
it depends on the context. It depends on the context.
I think top line there's two players there that a lot of people will rate very, very highly, some more than others. And, a lot more people will agree with you on Bale than agree with you on Rooney. But you're sort of not necessarily leading arguments, but one of your leading arguments for both is about how they push themselves throughout their career. So do you think there's quite a big link there in terms of where your opinion on a player and how they push themselves to their limit through their career, and certainly towards the later stages and where they end their career and how they end it?
Yeah, because ultimately I'm not having a go at these players specifically, and it might sound like I am. I'm having a go at the people that are saying these players are better than they are, or in my opinion, better than they are. Gareth Bale, in terms of looking after himself physically, he still looks like a bit of a machine, and he looked like a machine when he was playing in Los Angeles, and that's not really something I can dig Bale out on, and that's what I mentioned in terms of depends on the context, because Bale, at the peak of his powers, when he was scoring overhead kicks in Champions League finals against Liverpool, that player, he looked unstoppable. And if he'd have just applied himself mentally, probably even more than physically at that point, and tried to maybe rebuild those relationships that he'd, burnt with the media and with the fans, and tried to sort of embrace the culture a little bit more, rather than holding up flags saying, Golf, Wales, Madrid in that order and whatever, all that bullshit.
That was a stupid thing for him to do.
But I think if he tried to embrace a little bit more of that, I genuinely think we'd be in a situation now where if he wasn't playing for Madrid, he was still playing at top level. And when you talk about Rooney, the argument and the annoyance that I've got about Wayne Rooney is that he had more talent than Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think there's been quite a few people in the Man United setup that have said that they've said, in terms of pure talent, pure potential, Wayne Rooney had more than Cristiano Ronaldo. But what annoyed me about Wayne Rooney, and not the same as what annoys me about Bale, but similar, is Wayne Rooney could never keep it together. He was, a lot of the time, he was overweight. He was smoking on holiday in the off season, before pre-season starts. He would always like to drink, and that's not a problem. If that's how you want to live your life, brilliant. If I were a footballer, I'd have a pint from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but I can't, in all good conscience, sit there and watch people say such amazing things about these players when, in my opinion, they've got a lot of potential that they left on the table purely because they didn't want to commit themselves, either physically like Rooney, or maybe mentally and in communication standpoint like Gareth Bale. And that's my biggest, grievance with both arguments.
And I get that, but again, for me, yes, I suppose I kind of understand that. But if Rooney wants to have a pint, if Rooney wants to smoke, he's entitled to do that. And I'm not saying that you're saying he's not entitled to do that, but it's not like he had a shit career because of that.
I never said he's had a shit career. I never said he'd had a shit career.
Top United scorer, he's top England scorer for a bit.
But I never ever said he'd had a shit career.
But how can you say he's overrated based on his achievements just because he didn't look after himself as much as you thought he could or should have?
Well, no, it's not as much as I thought. There's a widely thought opinion.
No, I'm not saying it's just you specifically.
No, it's not just me specifically.
I'm having a conversation with you.
Specifically. I know, but you're mentioning what everybody else thinks. Well, now I'm going to bring in what everybody else thinks because you've done that for the past 10 minutes. So I'm going to do that now, in the sense that there's a widely regarded opinion that if Rooney would have looked after himself better, he would have definitely had a longer career. And when I mentioned that he's overrated, the reason I say that is because you mentioned there, he was top Man United scorer for God knows how, top England scorer. How many games has Harry Kane played for England? It's what, 60? 65? Rooney's played 120 games for England and scored 53 goals. Now that's great. It's a good achievement. Well done. Top class player. But he had a long time to do it. And Harry Kane is pretty much there or thereabouts in a lot less games. So it's all right saying, top scorer this, top scorer that. He started when he was 16, so he had a good, 10, 15 years at it, even though he didn't look after himself. So his goals to game ratio, if you look, and I've shown you this before, is nowhere near everybody else's in, top scorer wise in the Premier League. And that's why I say he's overrated, because yes, he scored a lot of goals. Yes, he did a lot of good things, but he had a damn long time to do it. And if he looked after himself, he'd already had a longer time to do it.
Well, he must have looked after himself in some respect to get 120 caps for his country and have a long time to achieve what he did.
I'm not saying he didn't look after himself at all. I'm saying he didn't look after himself in the way that a top professional does, and that would have let him reach his full potential. See Cristiano Ronaldo as an example. Ronaldo is an absolute bellend these days, and he always pretty much has been. But you can't knock his work rate and his discipline. And Rooney never had that. And yes, he was a generational talent, absolutely brilliant. But again, in my opinion, always feel like he's left something on the table.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it all night, couldn't we, and go back and forth, but there's that argument for everything, isn't there? You said about Ronaldo and his work rate, but he's thrown his legacy away with what's happened over the last 3 months. So ultimately, in the few years' time, depending on what happens next, no one's going to care about his work rate. They'll see the interview, they'll see how he left United, they'll see that he's said he would only play for a top club and he'll go to Saudi Arabia. So that work rate,
they will also see the fact that he's probably top 2 or if not top 3, one of the best players of all time. Rooney will never be regarded in that conversation ever.
I think we could talk about this all night, don't we?
I think we're moving away from the Gareth Bale. Either way, Gareth Bale's retired. There we go. Let's move on to discuss the locks and the wild cards from this past weekend then, the FA Cup competitions.
Yes, let's. Why don't we? So, starting with the locks this week, just looking at it now, about middle of the road. So, Skin, you picked Leicester, and of course, they got the win. Ag, I'll skip that one. Come back to that one.
Let's save that for the end.
Yeah, let's. So, I had Spurs. Obviously, they beat Pompey at home. Was it 1-0, I think? And Kempy, Kempy. He went for Villa. Bless him, at home against Stevenage. So I just want to check in with you on that one.
I just can't catch a fucking break, mate. I just cannot catch a fucking break. I was talking to you, I think, when Villa scored their first goal. Their only goal, and I was absolutely buzzing. I thought finally one of my locks is going to come in. It's brilliant. And then I was cooking tea, and in the next room I heard, Stevenage have scored. 90 seconds later, Stevenage have scored again. And to be honest with you, at that point, I was actually celebrating Stevenage scoring because
that's
Villa weren't going to win
that
game. So I was like, fuck it, you've lost me my lock, so fucking suffer, you bastards. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was bad at picking locks, but that's an impressive one, that. And then last and definitely least.
Just wait before you get into that, because you mentioned there about you thought you had it bad. I am a little bit disappointed that you've just brushed over the fact that you got a lot right. I feel like that's a momentous occasion.
Yeah, you're right, to be fair.
You said your New Year's resolution was to get one right. I said my bold prediction is that you'll get it around April, and you've done it at the first attempt. So I think that needs to be acknowledged and celebrated.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I had to kind of paper over it because it was a matter of Tottenham being at home to Portsmouth, so it should have been a formality.
Don't matter, mate.
It should, as I say, should have been a formality.
Should have been
exactly.
A formality against Stevenage.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
There you go.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And last and least is Ag picking Forest away at Blackpool. Lowly Nottingham Forest, who have struggled all year, have got to travel away to a cup competition that they're probably not going to need to worry about because they need to concentrate on the Premier League. He decided he'd back them as his lock. So, let me just before you get a word in, mate, I'll let you speak.
So, can I ask a question, which will lead into nicely, I know, and smoothly to what you're about to say? Please, could you remind me, Kem, Aggie, and the listeners what the definition of a lock is, please?
Funny enough, that's exactly what I was about to say. So, just a reminder, a lock is something, if you had a gun to your head, if your life depended on it, if you were to put your mortgage on a single result, bear in mind, the whole FA Cup, League One, League Two, he had it all to choose from, and he picked Forest away at Blackpool. We all jumped on him.
And before we do jump on him again, I think let's just go round the table very quickly. Dawson, your lot was Leicester, right?
Correct.
Gun to head, everybody agrees there? You go Leicester?
Yeah.
Yep.
Villa, gun to head, you agree?
Yeah. I would have backed it.
Yeah. You want? Yeah.
Spurs home against Pompey.
Home against Pompey.
I tried to pick Spurs.
Forest, anyone?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So
not a gun to my head. Definitely not.
Jesus Christ, honest. So right.
Maybe,
right.
But...
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why I went Forest.
Go on.
Before this game, Blackpool hadn't won in their last 9 games.
Okay.
Right? And they sit inside relegation of the Championship. Nottingham Forest, before this game, had lost just one in their last 4, right? That was 3-0 to Man United. They beat third in the Championship, Kemp. Third in the Championship, Blackburn, 4-1 away from home.
Too right, bitch.
In the EFL Cup. They drew 1-1 at home to Chelsea, and they beat Southampton 1-0 away from home. So in the last 4 games, they lost 1, and they were going up against a side that hadn't won in 9.
So can I just quickly interject, just very, very quickly? So they drew against Chelsea, who are piss poor at the moment. Can't organise a piss in a brewery. They beat Blackburn, who are in the Championship League below them. Is that right?
So a Blackpool.
And they beat Southampton, who won.
Probably the only Premier League team worse than Forest.
Who've won what? 1 game in 6?
Your Blackburn comment is irrelevant because Blackpool are also in the division below them.
Who's an elephant?
They're about 15. Fuck off. They're about 15 positions below where
but
Blackburn
you're saying, they've won 3 fucking 4 or whatever you're saying.
No,
they're all fucking shit teams, man.
I'm saying that they've lost 1 in the last 4, right?
They drew
they drew 1. No, they won 2 of those 3.
I just think you're waffling.
Well, they've lost 2 now, cunt.
You're waffling because what I reiterate to you is what a lock should be.
Yes,
this isn't just you. Oh, I'll predict a winner. It's something that you're banking on.
Yeah. Your logic with picking Forest to win is not an issue.
Yeah,
the issue is you picked Forest as your lock.
Yeah, that it's not flawed. Your logic isn't flawed, right? So I'll give you that. It's the fact that you picked it as a lock. You're misunderstanding what the lock is. I would still say the Villa pick, what Kemp had, was a far stronger pick than what you picked. And
I agree.
That lost.
I agree. But they were up against Stevenage, aside, was that 3 divisions below? Stevenage League 2?
Yeah, League
2.
Yeah, but
3 divisions below.
That's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, no, so you've gone for a side that's doing better than Forest, granted, against a side that I think they're 2nd or 3rd in League 2 at that as well. So they're in form as well. I've gone for
Forest.
They're
in League 2!
Yeah, but you're not getting my point. Forest was up
I
against
am getting your point. You're not getting the point.
That are near the bottom of the league.
No.
That have
There's
lost.
one person who's not getting a point. It's you not getting a point, right? You're not getting the point of the lock is literally the most fucking secure result you can possibly find.
No, I'm aware. Skin mentions it every week. Sam mentioned it not 5
why
minutes
don't you
ago.
fucking follow it
I know what it fucking means.
We have
but
to
I
say it
was
every
most
week because you
confident-
keep picking most outrageous fucking result for your lock. That's why
I am not
week.
having that. I've had 1 week where I've picked
a
very bad one, and you're coming at me like it's every week. No, it's not. This doesn't happen to me every week.
Right, okay, fair enough. But still, we're not letting you off the hook for that one, so you can try and defend it as much as you want. It's a poor pick, and it will always be a poor pick. Okay, so moving on.
Points in our tracker, to be honest. That's what I think.
I can't wait for Aggie's pick on Thursday now.
Oh, it's got a lot of pressure riding on this one. So moving on.
So,
scorers. I can't lie, lads. We didn't do too hot with this one, bar Skin. So Skin picked Marcus Rashford, who obviously back against...
right at the death.
Right at the death against Everton. It looked for a minute like Bruno were about to snatch that penalty from you. I bet you were sweating on that, weren't you?
Yeah, when obviously Garnacho were down and then whistle blew, there was probably about 30 seconds where they didn't show who had the ball in their hands, and I was absolutely shitting it because naturally I thought Bruno was going to have it, and then the camera cut to Rashford with ball in hand. I was like, thank fuck for that. Come on, lad.
Am I right in thinking that was Rashford's first penalty since the Euros?
Quite possibly, yeah. Bruno has been taking him and Ronaldo, but lads in fine form scoring from open play.
And you've brushed on him there. So speaking of Garnacho, that was Mr. Kemp's pick.
Clubby's rules and he bags that penalty. I'm not going to lie. I'm still fuming about that one as well. I'm as fuming about that as I am my lock. But no, to be fair, I followed the logic of I thought Ten Hag was going to rest players. You've got a very busy schedule coming up, Man United. So I thought Nacho would have probably been, a threat up top with not that many other starters there. But he played a pretty strong team. So
pretty much strongest team he could. But Charlton next in EFL Cup, so maybe he saw that as the one where he can rest a few ready for Man City a week on Saturday.
So Ag backed Aaron Collins. He failed to score, and then lastly I backed Whittaker of Plymouth, and he didn't make the matchday squad. So as betting rules, that would be a void bet. So we are voiding that one going forward. So that's the scorers, and onto the wild cards. That Skin, you backed Plymouth. So that one didn't come in, unfortunately, mate.
0-0, bless them. But Bolton were the better side looking at the stats anyway. So
yes, it was definitely was justified class as wild card. I know we was a bit of debating about that at the time, weren't we? Thinking obviously because Plymouth being top of the league, but it wasn't to be. Argue back Wrexham, mate. Well done. Made up for your Forest pick slightly, I guess.
Slightly.
Got anything to say about that one?
Fuming.
No, I think Wrexham to win away at Coventry is a much better pick than Forest to win away.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think
we probably wouldn't have argued it as much, would we, on the preview if he'd have gone, I'm having Wrexham, and he'd be like, no, we wouldn't have argued it as much as him picking Forest.
Yeah. Myself backed Sheff Wednesday, who beat Newcastle 2-1. I'm quite happy with that one, I must admit.
It's an unreal pick, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
And last but definitely not least was Mr. Kemp with Burnley, another very solid pick.
Come on!
And so just to recap on the football, that was. Or shall I wait until we've done a whole?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we can do all one. Yeah,
we'll do all one then. So I'll skip it for now and we'll come back to you when we reveal the NFL locks.
Right then, just before we do go on to the NFL locks, you may recall the debut of the listener lock-in last week. Skin.
We do.
Yes.
Who is it we've got coming in this week?
Well, we've got Jason Young joining us this week for this week's
preview
show. Jaso will be joining us to talk a little bit about Liverpool and their season so far, and then same as Keroin, get into the lock scorers wildcards, and we'll give him 3 games to predict the scores for. But as I said there, Keroin faced those 6 questions, should I say, last week to enter himself into our competition, our listener lock-in leaderboard, and he had started with, to be honest, quite a low bar for the rest of our listeners and the rest of our entrants to join. So I think it'd been a bit rough if he'd come in and at 6 points on the first go, wouldn't it? But his lock was Newcastle, which, as we've just mentioned there, lost. A bit of back and forth between him and Sam, with Sam picking Sheff Wednesday as a wild card. But Sam was on the podcast because he's the one that knows what he's talking about, and that's why he's here. And Keroin was just a guest. He had the scorer as Mitrovic, who didn't play, so he doesn't. It's not classed as a win or a loss like ours because it's just obviously a point system. Wild card was Middlesbrough, which I had as my backup for wild cards, but they got surprisingly battered by Brighton. So that's another cross there. He had Newcastle, which, like I said, were his lock to beat Sheffield Wednesday 2-0. They didn't. He had Man City to beat Chelsea 2-0, which they didn't. They did win, but it was a 4-0 win. Quite convincing, and Chelsea's struggle gets even worse. And the 1 point that he did get this week was that Friday night game between Manchester United and Everton. Manchester United 3, Everton 1. So that very late penalty not only secured the tick for me, but also for Keroin as well. So Keroin kicks off our listener lock-in leaderboard and will sit there as the leader on 1 point. But I'm sure Jason will be licking his lips at the opportunity to be sitting top of that come this time next week.
Good effort on the score, to be fair, United.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Okay, in just a few moments' time, we'll be back to discuss the conclusion of the regular season of the National Football League. Welcome back to episode 20 of Loaded Sport, where we talk now about the conclusion of the NFL regular season, starting with what happened on Sunday Night Football between Green Bay and Detroit. Sam, I'm afraid we do.
Well, what more can I say? We're a bit of a joke, aren't we? So we come fighting tooth and nail to get in the position we are right now. We beat the Dolphins in Miami. We absolutely tear the Vikings a new one, and all of a sudden everyone's believing. We've even got Skin saying we look like form team in NFC, and no one wants to play us. He's backing him on his bets, and there's a bit of a feel good factor. Rodgers has had a new fade, so all of a sudden people are starting to believe. It's Lambeau, cold night, under the floodlights, and we lay an absolute fucking egg. It was a disgraceful performance. I can't say anything else other than that. We couldn't get the run game going against a very poor Lions run D. Rodgers missing throws left, right, and centre. He threw he threw an interception, obviously that counted, and then he threw one that you lot probably wouldn't have seen if you didn't watch the game. I stayed up till 5, by the way, to watch this. So a bit ratty all day today. But yeah, he threw another interception, that was just inexplicable. And luckily, we got illegal use of hands to the face defensive flag, and that got turned back. One thing I can take silver lining is Watson seems to be the real deal. I think he seems to be the guy that we thought he would be coming out of the draft. So that's literally the only positive I'm taking from the game. Defense far too soft when it mattered. We've played some aggressive stuff, especially pass defense of late. And soon as it it come down to when we really needed it, they just started playing soft and just reverting to default, as Kemp would say. I can't think of the term he normally uses. Reverting back to type, I think, is the thing he normally goes with. Gareth Southgate. Aaron Jones had his annual big game fumble. He's always got one in him. Always, he can be an absolutely brilliant player. He can be one of the best offensive players in the league, and he will always have a big game fumble at least once per year. So we had that great game to do it in. Matt LaFleur, ridiculous coaching calls, and we went for it on 4th and 2 on our own 30 in the first half. I think it was 6-3 at the time, and we're going for it on 4th and 2. Didn't get it. Detroit Lions straight away set up in instant goal to go position, essentially. I think the actual play call he went for was 4th and 2. We went for an end around, so essentially almost a jet sweep, and he chose Alan Lazard to run it, the slowest receiver we have on the team. Couldn't get it Watson, who was one of the quickest players in NFL. A couple of bad drops from AJ Dillon, Romeo Doubs, costing us moving chains, just all around bad football. And then I think what just epitomised the entire game was Quay Walker, the rookie middle linebacker, inexcusable, getting ejected from the game for his discipline. Second time this season, there was an injury down on the field. One of the Lions coaching staff come on, and he's just pushed him. He's absolutely not been provoked whatsoever, and he's just pushed him. Referees seen it, chucked a flag for obviously 15-yard penalty. They went to go on to carry on with the game, and they're saying in commentary in the booth, I think they went to who's the guy that they normally have, the referee assistant who stands with them, who's in New York. I can't remember his name now. And he was saying like they should be ejecting him for this because they've all been told about it, and then they had to pause the game again, and lo and behold, Quay Walker was ejected from the game. So that was our middle linebacker gone. And they just, as soon as he went downhill, they gash us through that middle. Second time this year, as I say. So we just need a veteran player just needs to take him under his wing or something and tell him what's what, because it's not acceptable. On a game of that magnitude with that much riding on it, just to lose your head like that, it was such poor discipline. And it did just epitomise our entire performance. Rodgers has gone walking off into sunset with his arm around Randall Cobb down tunnel. It's looking, I mean, if you had to make a guess after what you've seen last night, it's looking that he would probably retire. He made a couple of comments that makes you think that. He also, I think the Lions rookie wide receiver went up to him to swap his jersey, and Rodgers just said, "I think I'm going to keep hold of this one." So it obviously had some kind of sentimental value to him. And yeah, just not good enough. Not good enough. So onwards and upwards. The silver lining is that I haven't got to stay up for stupid o'clock anymore and watch them. We can get feet up and look forward to NFL draft with a half decent draft position, and hopefully try and improve next year, with or without Rodgers.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the entirety of the game. I started to watch the beginning of it, fell asleep, of course, with the Seahawks winning. It meant there was a lot on that game. The Lions win would mean we'd make the playoffs. Obviously, that happened.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that just came down to the fact that I was surprised that the Lions went ahead and beat you, to be fair. And from what you said,
God, yeah.
you were as well.
Of course.
At the same point, I was surprised that it took us till overtime to see off the Rams, which has lost a lot of confidence in what was already very minimal anyway, for what we'd got going into the playoffs, because now we get the luxury of playing San Fran again, who've destroyed us twice this season and will probably go for it on the third attempt. So they've got effectively a bye through anyway, so they don't have to worry about it. But yeah, we're in the playoffs. We've got the number 5 pick because Denver are shit, so that helps. And we're looking like we're going to get potentially a top 20, I think it's going to be. I'm not sure if the maths I've done there is right or not.
Yeah, that were another kicking teeth, to be honest, as well. When just before I went to bed, just had a quick look, and that's when all the tweets started coming out about obviously the schedule's set, and I seen that it was the Seahawks Niners at 9:30 on Saturday night. I thought, honestly, that is literally the sweetest gig that you could possibly get. and we couldn't do it. And that was like a bit of a kick in balls just to go to bed on. I thought that could have been us, and we just didn't deserve it. So yeah, good on you. I will be cheering on Seattle to beat the Niners because Niners always do us over. So it'd be nice to see if you can do them.
Hopefully,
I'm going to just very quickly argue your point of the sweetest gig at 9:30. I'm sure Helena Aggie is absolutely fuming with that spot, considering you've cancelled date night now, so you can watch it. But
bless her.
We've done a deal.
Just thought I'd play devil's advocate.
I've got to go shopping on Sunday to make up for it. So she sits and watches the football. Right. I get to go walking around town shopping on the Sunday. So
I hope you're tired and miserable, mate. But then I suppose that won't be any different to any other day.
That means they've won.
They've won, and he's found out their Monday Night Football divisional game or something. So he's fuming, can't win.
Whilst the playoffs were all summed up, we have had news that's broke since then of 2 dismissals in the NFL. One goes for the number 2 overall pick, the Houston Texans, who have let go of Lovie Smith. Kemp, we'll start with you and your thoughts on Lovie Smith's dismissal.
I think it's not unexpected, especially when the Texans looked like they were really going for it and, sort of won themselves away from the number 1 overall pick and handed it to the Chicago Bears. It was a strange move. It wasn't one that I was upset with, as we'll get onto shortly. But yeah, I think when you saw that, you thought, or at least I thought, and we discussed it as well, that the writing was probably on the wall. If he was part of the future plans, if he was part of the rebuild that they obviously do need, I can't think of really many Texans players, if any, that deserve to stay on that roster. But yeah, I think the writing was on the wall at that point, and I wasn't surprised when the news came through today. I think it is a little bit harsh, and I think he probably knew about it before their last game.
You'd think so.
Yeah, but I think the writing was on the wall. I think it's a little bit harsh because he did come into a franchise that has been a dumpster fire pretty much all season and got them playing some decent football. They didn't get many wins, but it would have been a miracle if they'd have got more than 3-4 wins, which is what they got in the end. But yeah, unfortunate, but hopefully he's given a good account of himself and he can get a decent job in the NFL, whether it be an offensive or defensive coordinator or another head coach role somewhere. So yeah, fingers crossed for him.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I'm going to say it's been a bit of a surprise for me. I thought that it was just going to be a case of they go again and stick with the same guy that's kind of worked.
They should have done. They definitely should have done that.
I think that, like Kemp says, he's given a very good account for himself. I don't think it's the last we're going to see of him in the NFL.
I'm not saying for one second that the Texans should have done what they did. I'm just saying
you're not surprised.
It was likely that they were going to do that. But yeah, if you're the Texans, I'm not quite sure why the decision's been made. Maybe they just want a complete refresh. I know they're talking about getting rid of the GM as well. I don't know if that's the case or if that's happened.
But he's shocking.
Maybe they just want a complete gutting, and I sort of get that. But yeah, it's unfortunate when he's done as well as he has.
Well, they're 2 for 2, aren't they? Last year and this year, they had that and David Culley last year.
Yeah,
no, it's not. It's not brilliant. It's shit.
No,
2 for 2.
I thought you meant. Sorry, I thought you meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that every year they're just hiring a new head coach and giving them a year to run. It's not the way to go. It's not the way to go at all. Yeah. It's David Culley the year before, Lovie Smith. I honestly thought, because Lovie Smith was the defensive coordinator while David Culley was the head coach, and I thought, because he's had a head coaching gig a few times, Lovie Smith, and I quite like him. I must admit, he's a good defensive guy. He's got a fucking wonderful beard.
Yes.
And you can't expect anybody to turn that shithole around in space of a year. They've got no pieces. They've got Stingley at cornerback, and other than that's it. It's like they're completely rebuilding again. And the one thing they had to pin their hopes on was the number 1 overall pick, and they fucked that up. So you're right, Kem. I will be amazed if Lovie Smith didn't know going into that game he was already had his head on the block, because if he didn't, they went for a 2-pointer. With essentially the last play of the game, you just tell your quarterback to fucking overthrow that pass, and you've got the number 1 overall pick. You've got the entire off season to who's going to be the cornerstone of our franchise for the next 10 years. You've got that in your hand. Instead, they're now having to play the game of who they think the Bears are going to pick, or what the Bears are going to do, or who's going to trade up for Bears. Should we trade up for Bears just to stop someone leapfrogging us? They've got all that now, all that headache in the off season. when all they needed to do was one incompletion away, and it would all be in their hands.
I think they should have fired Lovey before the game.
No,
so that you can get somebody in who's just a coordinator and just say, listen, we want the number 1 overall pick, 100%. Go and throw the game. Because if they did tell Lovey and he's saying, right, you can fuck, I'm gonna try and win this game, give myself stock, and you can fuck off with number 1 overall pick. Then again, I'd do the exact same thing as he did. So if you tell him before the game, then you can obviously get that vibe. It's like, right, okay, we need to get rid of him because we're going to fuck the number 1 overall pick here. Or you wait until after the game and you fire him after the game. But yeah, there's no way, in my opinion, that they didn't tell him like before the game, and that's a massive mistake because, like you say, they did everything in their power to win, and that's cost them.
From top to bottom, for the owner, the GM, the coach, they should all be on the same page. They should have all had a meeting pre-game and said, look, we're losing this game. We've got a future is essentially riding on this. If you're not in, there's the door essentially. And they should have sacked him, like as you say, a couple of days before the game. Got an offensive coordinator who knows they're going to lose the game. You put your 3rd string quarterback in and just let him butcher it, and it's not an odd thing to do. It really, and it's a business at the end of the day. I don't think anyone stood there applauding the Texans today, saying, "Oh, you fought to the end. Well done. You beat a really bad Indianapolis Colts," because no one's thinking that. They're all thinking, "You fucking idiot."
No, it's a fucking stupid decision.
Yeah, it were.
I mean, they got my wild card over the line for me, but I still think they're fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's I've got no sympathy for them whatsoever, and I don't blame any of this, by the way, on Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith did what, like you say, what any one of us would have done. If you're told you're out of there, you're thinking, right, well, fuck you lot then. I'm going to go and win that game and show the rest of the NFL that I can still win a game with this shit that I'm coaching. And I think fair play to him. He should have been sacked once they'd got his opinion on what he wanted to do.
Yeah, well, that decision's been made, and it isn't the only dismissal that we've seen on the back of yesterday's results. Cliff Kingsbury has also left the Arizona Cardinals. So, Skin, we'll start with you and your thoughts on Kingsbury going.
Well, it's going to cost him a lot of money, isn't it? He was signed on a contract for another, 4 seasons on a relatively healthy pay scale. So they've put out a lot of money up front to move on from him, and I'm not really sure what the future looks like for him. Kyler Murray has had a lot of injuries this season, so has not really featured too much. So yeah, they've got, unlike the Texans, they have got a lot of good pieces. They've got a lot of good players. They're just unfortunate that they're playing in quite a strong division. San Fran have been the team that they've been this season. Rams, we know, have had a down year, but a lot of that has been contributed. Well, the contributing factor towards that has been the injuries they've suffered. Seahawks have surprised a lot of people this year, and as we've discussed, have made the playoffs and have got good draft position to get even stronger for next season. So, yeah, it's a bit of a crossroads, I think, for the Cardinals and what this offseason looks like, who they're gonna pick up, what kind of players are they gonna look for? They've lost JJ Watt now, who's retired, and he's going to be a big loss in that defense, not necessarily in what he can deliver on the stat line, but what he provides from a leadership perspective. So, yeah, it's going to be. I think Cardinals are going to be in for another season or two of not so great performances and records. Personally,
I mean, he's never done very well, has he? I think he had one good season. In Arizona,
jobs, weren't they? A bit. Anytime they
massive,
decent.
Yeah, massive battle jobs. He always started the season really strong and then just faded away. And it was exactly the same in college. It brought that with him. And Kyler Murray's record echoes that as well. I mean, he's below 500 as a coach in the NFL. I think he's at 0.4 in win percentage. He had 4 seasons. So his first season he went 5-10. Second season went 8-8. His third season was by far his best, 11-6. Made the playoffs, then just did absolutely nothing. I think they got battered in that first wildcard game, and then this year finished 4-13. So, yeah, he's never done too well, and I can't blame Arizona for moving on at all.
Okay, let's move on to the locks of the week and the wildcard results, and we'll get, of course, the final results of both football and the NFL combined, Sam.
Okay, so here we go. Locks of the week. We'll start with Mr. Skin, as always. And he went...
Member website on
Every time I say Mr. Skin, that's exactly what I think of. Yeah, he went for my Green Bay Packers.
Oh, mate, the fucking sell I gave it as well. What a twat I look now.
I know. Could get that clipped and get that out there. That definitely gave some traction, I think.
I don't know what's happened, mate, but for some reason it went on our Spotify page earlier or YouTube. I don't know what's happened to it.
Mysteriously vanished.
Yeah.
So he's picked Green Bay there. Ag's gone for the Chiefs, who of course got the dub. Just give me 1 second there. Who did the Chiefs
play? The game of Ring of Roses as well, didn't they?
Mate, they called out though for holding, weren't it? I couldn't believe it.
Yes, you're absolutely right there. The Raiders. I went for the Niners, who won last night against the Cardinals. Absolutely battered them 38-13. So that's just to clarify, that's me getting both of my fucking locks right, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. The only one that's done that this week.
Well done.
Historic moment. And Mr. Kemp has gone for the Chargers, bless him. The Chargers was in a weird game against the Broncos. They had neither team had anything to play for, really.
They put full strength side out though, so that gave him a chance, didn't it?
Yeah, I was just about to say Staley went with a full strength side, which has now come under question after quite a few injuries.
Yeah, Matt Williams has got quite he got took off.
It looks quite serious, to be honest. And yeah, the Broncos won 31-28, so a bit of an upset there. What you got to say for yourself there, Mr. Kemp?
Well, silly decision. It really was. But like you said, there was neither team had anything to play for. I was really delighted when I saw the Chargers had gone full strength, but then
I imagine
woke up in the middle of the night to see that they'd lost by a hair's breadth. So I'm a bit fuming with myself that I didn't go for the Eagles because I think everybody saw that one coming, and I saw that one coming as well. So I don't know why I didn't go for that, but hey, here's what it is. Locks weren't my strong point this week, but I hit another strong point this week.
You made up for it, mate.
You did. We'll get to that one. So moving on to scorers then. Again, not so hot. So only one of us got this one right. Dawson, you went for Aaron Jones. At the time, I was a little bit iffy on this one. Obviously, he'd only got 2 rushing touchdowns all year, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get that running game going. And to be honest with you, he never looked like he was going to score. If we was going to score a touchdown, it was going to be through the air. Run game was just completely shut down. Ag, you back Swift, so the other running back of Detroit, and I think collectively at the time we all said you've gone for the wrong running back there. You should have gone for Williams.
I think Williams was your backup, weren't he, Sam? I think you mentioned.
I said I've gone for CMC and Williams, and I said I'm very confident they will both score this weekend.
Nailed it.
That's not the rule, so I couldn't get
what
both
a week
of them.
you had.
I know, very confident. So yeah, Swift didn't come in. I went for CMC, Christian McCaffrey. That's a nice big green tick for me. And Mr. Kemp went for the King, Derrick Henry, and another one that let him down. So yeah,
lots of yards and lots of carries, but no touchdown, which is what matters.
Unfortunately.
There you go.
So 1 of 4 for us on scorers in the NFL this week. So yes, could definitely.
I think it's the most difficult week though this week, especially.
By far.
Not just in the NFL, but in football as well, because you've got the NFL. The teams were resting players going into the playoffs or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in the FA Cup, you never know who's going to start, and you never know who's
I think I said that on the preview show that it was very
tough
similar.
week, very tough week. You're dead right there. Moving on to wild cards, then this is a nice little pick me up because we all did pretty well on this one actually. So Dawson, you went for the Panthers.
Yes, baby.
They obviously beat the Saints in probably looks like the worst NFL game of all time. 10-7.
They won, mate, despite their quarterback completing 5 passes. So I will take the double points for that this week, please.
You'll take all that. Take all that and more. Adam, bless him, got it wrong. Only wanted to get his wild card wrong this week. He went for the Bears, who got absolutely mauled, pun intended, by the
Vikings. Yeah,
it was.
When I saw that Fields weren't playing, I thought, I've shot myself in the foot with this one.
That was the moment Adam realised that he fucked up.
Yeah, you realised Bears were taking it seriously, went for number 1 pick, unlike the Texans. And then I picked the Detroit Lions, which again, when I picked it at the time, there was some audible gasps. Went against my boys, and I was unfortunately right. And then Kemp, at the last but not least, picked the Texans, and as we've just mentioned, they beat the Colts and fucked themselves up by losing that number 1 overall pick. So yeah,
donkey pick only followed up by a donkey performance. And I said in the preview that it was going to be a donkey game.
You did.
That's what
You're
it was.
right. You're right. So final scores for this week is Skin is on 3 of 6. Ag and Kemp are both tied. Oh, sorry, I should have started at these two really. They're both tied on 2 out of 6, and then Mr. White, myself.
Kemp, whoa! Save that for the main event. But Kemp, I just want to ask: you've had a really good week, mate, nailing both your wild cards, and I've had a fucking shit week. Yeah, I've still beat you.
Yeah. You're talking about standards there, aren't you? And like I said,
standards is the word.
I think 2 out of 6 is, it's my PB. So, put me a bit of slack.
It is a tied PB.
It's an upward trend, isn't it? There, that's all we can ask for at this point.
That's it, mate. Anyway, Sam, take the credit, take the glory, take the spotlight, take the fucking headlines.
So if you give me that crown right now, boys, and sort your little spreadsheet out, and may as well sign me off as the winner already. 5 of 5. 5 of 5. Obviously, it should have been of 6, but due to the Whittaker not being a part of the match day squad, that's void. So instead of 6, it is 5, which means I get a full score, 5 out of 5. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the first time that's happened.
That is
the only time, mate, that has happened. I can imagine it being quite a long time until it's repeated, if it ever is at all. So well done, mate.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, boys. That's
is this the moment where you retire from the show?
Got to it, hasn't it? It's just I was about to say you've retired. He's retired man with the mic, and you've retired. The final question, so I think it's only natural that I follow it with my full retirement after getting 5 of 5.
Love it.
Okay, that is.
Pleasure.
Yes, that's all we've got time for episode 20. We'll be back later in the week where Jay will be tackling the listener lock-in.